I stared at my reflection in the gallery window, watching my sister Vada bask in the spotlight yet again. She was radiant in her designer dress, champagne glass raised high, as our mother Regina fawned over her latest achievement, winning the local art fair's People's Choice Award, the same award I'd been too afraid to enter, knowing what would happen if I outshined the family's golden child. My name is Kendra, and I've spent 28 years being the shadow to my sister's son, the invisible daughter, the one whose art supplies mysteriously disappeared before competitions, whose canvases were accidentally ruined before exhibitions. "You should come inside," Griffin said, appearing beside me with 2 coffee cups. He handed me one, steam rising between us in the chilly evening air. "Show them what you can really do." I shook my head, taking a sip of the perfectly bitter liquid. "You know how that would end, Griff. Remember my high school graduation? When your mom convinced everyone Vada had painted your portfolio pieces." He scoffed. "How could I forget? That was the day I realized your family was toxic as hell." Inside the gallery, Regina's laugh carried through the glass, sharp and theatrical. She was touching the arm of Marshall, the gallery owner, no doubt spinning tales about Vada's natural talent and artistic vision. "Sometimes I wonder if Dad knew this would happen when he left," I said, turning away from the window. "If he saw what Mom was becoming and just couldn't handle it anymore." "Have you tried reaching out to him?" "What's the point? He hasn't answered my calls in years." I pulled my sketchbook from my bag, flipping to my latest piece, a dark, twisted landscape of thorny vines and broken mirrors. "Besides, I have my art. It's the only thing they can't take from me." Griffin leaned closer, studying the drawing. "This is incredible, Ken. The emotion in it. People need to see this." "Maybe someday," I mumbled, but we both knew I didn't believe it. A sharp tap on the window made us jump. Regina stood there, perfectly manicured nails against the glass, beckoning us inside. Her smile was warm, but her eyes were arctic. "There you are, darling," she cooed as we entered. Vada was just about to demonstrate her technique for Marshall. "Weren't you, sweetheart?" Veda's smile flickered for a fraction of a second. "Of course, Mother." "Kendra, would you mind getting my supplies from the car?" "Actually," Griffin interrupted, "Kendra was just showing me her new piece. Marshall, you should really take a look." "Oh, honey," Regina cut in, patting my cheek condescendingly. "This is Vada's moment. We wouldn't want to distract from that, would we?" I felt the familiar burn of shame creeping up my neck. But before I could retreat, Marshall spoke up. "I'd love to see it," he said, genuine interest in his eyes. "Always room for new talent in this gallery." Regina's hand clamped down on my shoulder. "Perhaps another time. Kendra's still developing her style. Isn't that right, dear? She's not quite ready for public viewing." I watched Vada set up her easel, pulling out brushes I recognized as mine, the ones that had disappeared last month. She began to paint, and my stomach twisted as I recognized the technique I'd spent years perfecting. "Remarkable," Marshall murmured. "The brushwork is so unique. Where did you study?" "Oh, Vada's entirely self-taught," Regina gushed. "It just comes naturally to her." I felt Griffin's hand squeeze mine as I fought back tears, but something else was building beneath the hurt, a spark of anger, of defiance. "I need some air," I managed, pulling away from Regina's grip. Outside, I pulled out my phone and opened the local art competition website. The submission deadline was tonight at midnight. "Do it," Griffin said, reading over my shoulder. "Enter the piece we saw at your studio yesterday, the one with the broken mirrors." My finger hovered over the submit button. "Mom will be furious." "Good." Griffin's voice was steel. "Let her be." I pressed submit before I could change my mind. The confirmation email arrived instantly. "Thank you for your submission to the Spring Showcase competition." "What's the worst that could happen?" I asked, trying to sound braver than I felt. Griffin smiled. "You could win." Looking back through the gallery window, I watched Vada sign her name to a painting that mimicked my style perfectly. She caught my eye and winked, raising her champagne glass in a mock toast. Little did she know, everything was about to change. The invisible daughter was finally stepping into the light. 2 weeks later, I stood in front of my easel at Griffin's studio, trying to process the email I'd just received. My hands were shaking so badly, I nearly dropped my phone. "I won," I whispered. "Griffin, I actually won the spring showcase." He rushed over from his workspace, paint-stained hands grabbing the phone. "First place? Holy shit, Ken, this is huge. The prize includes a featured spot in next month's gallery walk." My voice cracked. "My work will be displayed at Marshall's gallery." Griffin pulled me into a tight hug, not caring that we were both covered in paint. "Finally, everyone's going to see what you can really do." My phone buzzed. A text from Vada. "Mom wants you at the house. Important family meeting." "That's suspicious timing," Griffin said, reading over my shoulder. "They couldn't possibly know already, right?" The results weren't public yet, but anxiety churned in my stomach as I gathered my things. "Want me to come with you?" I shook my head. "I need to handle this myself, but stay close to your phone." The drive to my mother's house felt like heading to an execution. Regina's Mercedes was in the driveway, along with Veda's Range Rover. I took a deep breath and went inside. They were waiting in the living room. Regina sat perfectly poised on her favorite armchair, while Vada lounged on the sofa, scrolling through her phone. "Darling, there you are," Regina said, her smile not quite reaching her eyes. "We have wonderful news." "Oh?" I remained standing, arms crossed. "Marshall called earlier," Vada announced, looking up from her phone. "He wants to represent me. Can you believe it?" Regina beamed. "He was so impressed with her work at the gallery, he's offering her a solo exhibition." "That's interesting timing," I said carefully, considering I just won the spring showcase. The temperature in the room seemed to drop 10 degrees. Regina's smile froze. "What did you say, dear?" "I entered my work in the showcase," I repeated, louder this time. "And I won first place. They're featuring my pieces at Marshall's gallery next month." Vada sat up straight, exchanging a look with Regina. Our mother stood slowly, smoothing her designer skirt. "Sweetheart, we need to discuss something." Her voice was honey-sweet poison. "You see, Vada has already accepted Marshall's offer. The exhibition is scheduled for next month. So, the gallery's big enough for both of us." "Actually," Vada cut in, "I may have already shown him some of your pieces, as mine." The world tilted sideways. "You what?" "It's for the best, darling," Regina said soothingly. "Vada has the connections, the presence. She knows how to work the art world. Your pieces will reach a much wider audience through her." "Those are my paintings," my voice rose. "My technique, my vision, my work." "Don't be selfish, Kendra," Regina snapped. "This benefits everyone. The gallery exposure will help pay off my debts, and Vada's career will flourish. You can always make more paintings." I pulled out my phone, hands trembling. "I'm calling Marshall right now." Regina moved faster than I'd ever seen her, snatching my phone. "You will do no such thing. This family has a chance at something extraordinary. I won't let you ruin it with your petty jealousy." "Petty jealousy," I laughed, the sound harsh and foreign. "You're literally stealing my art." "Nobody's stealing anything," Vada said, examining her manicure. "We're just redistributing the credit. Besides, who would believe you? I've already built a reputation. You're nobody." I backed toward the door, bile rising in my throat. "You're both insane." "Sleep on it, darling," Regina called after me. "You'll see we're right. Family comes first, always." I ran to my car, tears blurring my vision. As I pulled away, my phone buzzed with a text from Griffin. "Everything okay?" Before I could respond, another message came through. From Marshall's gallery. Attached was a promotional poster for next month's exhibition, featuring one of my paintings. Above it, in elegant script, introducing rising star artist Vada Stevens. I pulled over, my hands gripping the steering wheel until my knuckles turned white. They thought I was nobody? That I would just roll over and let them take everything I'd worked for. I opened my phone, and typed a quick message to Griffin. Meet me at your studio. I have an idea. They wanted to play games. Fine. But they'd forgotten one crucial thing. I had nothing left to lose. And someone with nothing to lose is the most dangerous player of all. We need to create a new artist, I announced, pacing Griffin's studio. Someone mysterious, someone compelling, someone who isn't me. Griffin looked up from his laptop. You mean a pseudonym? More than that, I grabbed a blank canvas, my hands itching to create. I need to build an entirely new artistic identity, something so different from my usual style that no one would connect it to me. While Vada parades around with your old work? Griffin frowned. That doesn't solve the theft problem, Ken. No, but it gives me time. I started sketching rapidly. Time to build evidence, to gather proof. And when the moment's right, a knock at the studio door made us both jump. Through the glass, I saw a familiar face I hadn't seen in years. Dad, I whispered. Griffin opened the door, and there stood Nathaniel, looking older but still wearing his characteristic leather jacket. Hello, Pequeña, he said softly, using his old nickname for me. Your mother called. My heart sank. Let me guess. She told you I'm being difficult about Vada's success. He stepped inside, examining the studio. Actually, she asked me to talk some sense into you about supporting the family. That's when I knew something was wrong. Regina never asks me for anything. They're stealing my work, I blurted out. Vada's claiming my paintings as hers, and Mom's helping her. Nathaniel's expression darkened. Show me. I pulled up the gallery's promotional poster on my phone. His hands clenched as he recognized my signature technique. I should have seen this coming, he muttered. Your mother's obsession with Vada's success. It was always going to lead somewhere ugly. Why did you leave? The question burst out before I could stop it. He sank onto a paint-splattered stool. Because I was a coward, I saw what Regina was doing to you both. Putting all that pressure on Vada, making you invisible. I couldn't fight her without making things worse, so I ran. He met my eyes. I'm sorry, Kendra. Well, you're here now, Griffin interjected. And we could use the help. I showed them my plan. Sketches for a new series. Completely different from my usual style. Dark, urban, with elements of street art and social commentary. The artist will be anonymous, I explained. We'll create buzz online, build a following. Meanwhile, I'll document everything Veda and Mom are doing with my original work. It could work, Nathaniel said slowly. But you'll need more than just social media chatter. You need someone with influence to notice. I might know someone, Griffin said, pulling out his phone. Remember Violet, the journalist who covered the gallery's opening last month? She's been trying to do a piece on the local art scene. Perfect, I said, already mixing paints. Can you set up a meeting? While Griffin made the call, I started on the first piece of my new collection. Angry strokes of red and black, geometric patterns breaking apart, a hidden message in the chaos. Violet can meet tomorrow, Griffin announced. But Ken, are you sure about this? Once you start, there's no going back. My phone buzzed with a text from Regina. Darling, be reasonable. Come to dinner tonight and we'll discuss your role in Veda's success. I'm sure, I said, adding a final slash of crimson to the canvas. They want to make me invisible. I'll become a ghost that haunts them. Nathaniel stepped closer to the painting. What will you call yourself? I studied my creation. Raw, rebellious, everything I'd been afraid to be. Phoenix, I decided, rising from the ashes of what they tried to destroy. Your mother won't give up easily, Nathaniel warned. She's got too much invested in Veda's image. Good thing I'm not giving up either. I started on a second canvas. They taught me well, you know. All those years of watching from the shadows, seeing how they manipulate people, I learned every trick. Griffin's phone chimed. Violet's in. Says she's been looking for a story with teeth. Oh, she'll get one, I promised, my brush moving with renewed purpose. But first, we need to give Phoenix a proper introduction to the art world. I worked through the night, creating pieces that screamed everything I'd been forced to whisper. Each canvas was a weapon, each color a statement of defiance. As dawn broke, Nathaniel brought coffee and watched me sign the final piece with my new symbol, a stylized phoenix rising from broken chains. Your mother always said you were too sensitive for the art world, he mused. I don't think she realized she was creating her own worst nightmare. I stepped back, surveying my night's work. No, she was right about one thing. Family does come first. And it's time they remember I'm part of this family too. The sun rose over my new collection, and with it, Phoenix prepared to take flight. So let me get this straight, Violet said, sipping her latte at the corner cafe. You want me to cover an anonymous artist's debut, while simultaneously investigating your sister's sudden rise in the art world? That's right. I slid a USB drive across the table. Everything you need is here. Photos of my original works, dated sketches, early exhibition entries, plus documentation of how they suddenly became Vada's pieces. Violet pocketed the drive, her journalist's instincts clearly piqued. And this mysterious new artist, Phoenix, that's also you? I can neither confirm nor deny that, I said, just as we'd rehearsed. But I can arrange for you to get an exclusive first look at Phoenix's work. Why me? Because you're known for exposing truth, not just writing fluff pieces about local artists. She leaned forward, eyes sharp. You know this could destroy your family's reputation. They destroyed themselves. I'm just turning on the lights. My phone buzzed. A text from Griffin. Marshall just announced Vada's exhibition date, 3 weeks from now. Perfect timing, Violet said, reading the message over my shoulder. Give me a week to build the Phoenix story online. Then we'll release the first piece about questioning the authenticity of your sister's work. As if summoned by our conversation, Vada's voice cut through the cafe. Kendra, what are you doing here? She stood by our table, designer sunglasses pushed up on her head, looking every bit the successful artist she pretended to be. Just having coffee, I said smoothly. Violet, you remember my sister? Of course, Violet's smile was professional. I was just telling Kendra how excited I am to cover your upcoming exhibition. Veda preened. Yes, it's quite an achievement, though some people, she glanced pointedly at me, seem to have trouble being supportive. Actually, Violet said, I'd love to do an in-depth piece on your artistic process. Maybe watch you create something new? I bit back a smile as Vada's confidence flickered. Oh, I never work with observers. It disrupts my creative flow. Shame, Violet murmured. That would have made a fantastic article. Vada's phone chimed. That's Mother. We're meeting with Marshall to discuss the exhibition layout. She touched my shoulder with false sympathy. You should come by the gallery sometime, dear. See how real artists present their work. After she left, Violet whistled low. Okay, I'm convinced. Let's take them down. Back at Griffin's studio, Nathaniel was helping set up for Phoenix's first photo shoot. The pieces were arranged dramatically, spotlights creating sharp shadows that emphasized their urban edge. The photos go live tonight, Griffin said, adjusting his camera. Anonymous submissions to all the major art blogs. By morning, everyone will be asking who Phoenix is. Meanwhile, Nathaniel added, I've been doing some digging into your mother's finances. The gallery deal with Marshall. She needed it badly. She's underwater in debt. That explains the desperation, I said, touching up one of the paintings. She's not just stealing my work for Vada's ego. She needs the money. My phone lit up with a notification. Vada had posted photos from the gallery meeting. My stomach churned as I saw my paintings arranged on the walls, her name prominently displayed. Look at this, Griffin called from his laptop. First Phoenix photo just dropped on Art Forum. Comments are already rolling in. I leaned over his shoulder, reading, Who is this artist? Amazing technique. Finally, something fresh in the local scene. Phase 1 is working, Violet said from the doorway, making us jump. Sorry, door was open, but you need to see this. She handed me a printout, financial records showing large payments from Regina to Marshall's gallery. She's buying her way in, Nathaniel growled. using borrowed money to secure Veda's spot. This is better than we thought, Violet said. We're not just exposing art fraud, we're uncovering financial manipulation too. My phone buzzed again, a message from Marshall. Heard you've been asking questions about your sister's work. Let's meet, alone. He's nervous, Griffin observed. Good. What do you want to do? Nathaniel asked. I stared at the message, then at my Phoenix pieces surrounding us. Set up the meeting. But first, let's give the art world something to really talk about. Violet was already typing on her phone. I'll leak a rumor that Phoenix is planning something big. Something that will shake up the local art scene. They won't know what hit them, Griffin said, snapping another photo. I picked up a brush, adding final touches to my latest piece, a phoenix rising from a house of cards, each card bearing a familiar face. 3 weeks, I said. 3 weeks until Vada's exhibition. 3 weeks to become everything they never thought I could be. The studio lights caught the wet paint, making it gleam like fresh blood. Marshall's office felt colder than I remembered. He sat behind his desk, fingers steepled, studying me with an intensity that hadn't been there when I was just Kendra, the invisible sister. Your mother called, he said finally. She's concerned about your emotional state. Is that what we're calling it now? I pulled out my phone, bringing up photos of my original works. Let's talk about these pieces, Marshall. The ones Vada's claiming as hers. He shifted uncomfortably. Art ownership can be complicated. Really? Because I have dated photographs of every piece's creation, videos of my process, early sketches. I leaned forward. How much is my mother paying you to look the other way? His face paled slightly. That's a serious accusation. So is fraud. Before he could respond, the door burst open. Regina swept in, Vada trailing behind her. Marshall, darling, I hope we're not interrupting. Regina's voice dripped honey, but her eyes were steel. Actually, I said, standing. We were just discussing the exhibition's authenticity. Don't be ridiculous, Vada snapped. Everyone knows they're my pieces. Do they? I pulled up the Artforum website. Because people seem more interested in Phoenix these days. Have you seen their work, Marshall? Critics are calling it revolutionary. Marshall clicked through the photos on his computer. Yes, quite impressive. The technique is unique. Unlike some people's, I added pointedly. Regina's hand clamped down on my shoulder. Darling, you're embarrassing yourself. Why don't we discuss this at home? No thanks. I have a meeting with Violet Henderson. You know, the journalist? She's very interested in local art and financial records. The color drained from Regina's face. What have you done? Nothing yet. But Phoenix's first public piece goes up tomorrow. Right across from your gallery, Marshall. Might want to check it out. I turned to leave, but Vada blocked my path. You can't prove anything. It's your word against ours. And who's going to believe the failed artist? We'll see. I smiled, remembering the surveillance cameras Griffin had installed in his studio months ago, catching every conversation, every confession. By the way, how's that creative flow coming along? Still can't work with observers. Outside, my phone exploded with notifications. Phoenix's latest piece had leaked online. A massive digital artwork showing a puppet master controlling marionettes made of dollar bills. Griffin called immediately. It's everywhere, Ken. Art blogs are going crazy, trying to figure out Phoenix's identity. And people are starting to ask questions about Vada's work too. Good. I started my car. How's the installation coming? Your dad's helping with the final touches. It'll be ready for tomorrow's reveal. I drove to the studio, where Nathaniel was putting the finishing touches on a massive canvas that would soon cover the wall opposite Marshall's gallery. Your mother called again, he said, not looking up from his work. She's offering to negotiate. Too late. I picked up a brush, adding details to the peripheral figures. Did you send Violet those bank statements? This morning. She's running them by her financial expert contact. My phone buzzed with a text from Violet. Story goes live tomorrow morning. Sure you want to do this? Another message popped up from Regina. Darling, please be reasonable. We can work something out. Family first, remember. I thought about all the times I'd been reasonable, all the times I'd stayed quiet, stepped aside, put family first. Where had it gotten me? They're scared, Nathaniel observed, watching me work. Regina's not used to losing control. She should be scared. I added the final touches to the mural. A series of masks, each cracking to reveal the truth beneath. Phoenix rises at dawn. Griffin burst in, laptop open. You need to see this. Vada just did a live interview about her creative process. She's completely tanking. We watched as Vada stumbled through basic questions about technique, materials, and inspiration. The comments were brutal. Something's off. Does she even paint? Compare this to Phoenix's work. Marshall's calling an emergency meeting, Griffin said, checking his phone. Apparently, some major collectors are having doubts about the exhibition. Nathaniel stepped back from the mural, admiring our work. Ready for tomorrow? I looked at the massive piece we'd created. A story told in paint and shadow. Truth breaking through lies. A phoenix rising from the ruins of false reputations. The walls prepped, Griffin confirmed. We install at 4 a.m., just before the morning rush. By the time the gallery opens, everyone will know, I finished. Not the whole truth, not yet, but enough to make them sweat. My phone lit up one last time. A message from Marshall. We should talk, privately. Name your price. I showed the message to Nathaniel and Griffin, watching their expressions harden. They still think this is about money, I said. Turning back to our creation. They have no idea what's coming. The studio lights caught the phoenix's wings, making them gleam like justice about to break. Dawn broke over the city as we finished mounting the massive mural. Griffin's camera clicked continuously, documenting everything while Nathaniel kept watch. They're going to lose their minds, Griffin whispered, stepping back to take in the full effect. The piece dominated the wall opposite Marshall's gallery, a towering phoenix emerging from a pile of familiar paintings, each one clearly recognizable as my original work. Below, in stark lettering, Art Speaks Truth. By 7 a.m., a crowd had gathered. Phones were out, social media buzzing. I watched from across the street, wearing a hoodie and sunglasses, as Violet conducted impromptu interviews with onlookers. It's clearly a statement about authenticity in the art world, one critic was saying. Look at those paintings in the ashes. They're identical to the ones in tomorrow's exhibition. My phone vibrated, Regina calling for the 12th time. I declined it just as Marshall's Mercedes screeched to a halt in front of the gallery. Get it down, he shouted at his employees. Now, I wouldn't do that, Violet called out, holding up her phone. Live streaming to 50,000 followers. Sure you want to be seen censoring art? Marshall froze, finally taking in the full impact of the mural. His eyes widened as he recognized the paintings depicted in it. The same ones hanging in his gallery under Veda's name. Who did this? He demanded. Phoenix. Several voices answered at once. The timing's interesting, Violet said, loudly, still recording. Right before your big exhibition featuring Vada's work that looks remarkably similar to these pieces. A sleek Range Rover pulled up. Vada, she stumbled out, designer sunglasses, not quite hiding her panic. This is harassment, she shouted. Those are my paintings. I created them. Did you? Someone in the crowd called out. Prove it. Show us your process. I don't have to prove anything. Actually, Violet stepped forward. You might. My latest article just went live. Financial records showing suspicious payments from your mother to the gallery. Testimonies from art students who remember these exact pieces being created by someone else. Vada's phone started ringing. She answered it, turning away from the crowd. Mother, you need to get down here now. Regina arrived 10 minutes later, looking less polished than I'd ever seen her. She pulled Marshall and Vada into a huddle, gesturing frantically. Watch this, Griffin murmured, nodding toward the gallery entrance. Right on cue, an older man in an expensive suit approached the group. The city's most respected art critic, right on schedule. Mr. Marshall, he said loudly enough for everyone to hear. I've been reviewing the exhibition pieces for tomorrow's opening. In light of these developments, I have some questions about provenance. Regina stepped forward, charm offensive ready. Perhaps we could discuss this privately. No, he cut her off. I think transparency is crucial right now. Miss Vada, would you walk me through your creative process for the centerpiece, the one with the broken mirrors? Vada's face went white. My process is very personal. Because, he continued, pulling out his tablet, I have here a video from 3 years ago, showing that exact piece being created by someone else. The crowd pressed closer. Phones recorded everything. Violet's smile was predatory as she took notes. This is ridiculous, Regina snapped. We have contracts, agreements, obtained through fraudulent means, Violet interjected, as detailed in my article, which, by the way, just hit 50,000 shares. I stepped forward, finally pulling off my hoodie and sunglasses. Need help explaining my technique, Vada? Since they're my paintings after all. The silence was deafening. Regina's face contorted with rage and fear. Vada seemed to shrink, her carefully constructed facade crumbling. Kendra, Marshall started. Let's discuss this privately. No more private discussions, I said clearly. No more backroom deals. No more stealing what isn't yours. You ungrateful little. Regina lunged forward, but Nathaniel stepped between us. That's enough, Regina, he said quietly. It's over. The art critic looked between us all, understanding dawning. Well, this explains a lot. I believe I'll be rewriting my review of tomorrow's exhibition, assuming there still is one. Marshall's phone was buzzing constantly now. Collectors, presumably, demanding answers. You've ruined everything, Vada whispered. No, I corrected her, pointing to the phoenix rising above us. I've just started creating something real. Violet's voice cut through the chaos. Exclusive interview with the real artist behind the controversial Stevens exhibition, streaming live in 10 minutes. The crowd surged forward, cameras flashing, questions flying. Through it all, I kept my eyes on the phoenix, my truth, finally taking flight. Regina grabbed my arm as chaos erupted around us. This isn't over, she hissed. I smiled, feeling truly visible for the first time in years. You're right. Phoenix is just getting started. The gallery was packed for what should have been Vada's triumphant exhibition opening. Instead, the crowd buzzed with whispers and pointed fingers as my sister stood frozen before her, my paintings, mascara streaking down her face. Ladies and gentlemen, Marshall announced, his voice shaking slightly. In light of recent developments, tonight's exhibition will be postponed. Why postpone? I called out, stepping forward. The artist is right here. Regina appeared beside me, gripping my arm. Kendra, stop this madness right now. Or what, Mom? You'll make me invisible again. The art critic cleared his throat. Perhaps Ms. Vada would like to demonstrate her technique. Show us how she created these remarkable pieces. Vada backed away from the easel that had been set up for her live demonstration. I'm not feeling well. Then I will, I said, picking up a brush. Since I'm the one who actually painted everything here. The crowd gathered around as I began to work, my hands moving with practiced confidence. Every stroke was familiar, every technique my own. Within minutes, the emerging image matched the style of the surrounding paintings perfectly. Fascinating, the critic murmured, recording everything on his tablet. And those surveillance videos Ms. Henderson provided, showing you creating the original works, are fake, Regina interrupted. Obviously doctored. Kendra is just jealous of her sister's success. Success built on lies, Nathaniel said, stepping forward. Show them the financial records, Regina. Show them how you bought this exhibition with borrowed money. Marshall cleared his throat nervously. Perhaps we should clear the gallery. No, I said firmly, still painting. Let's have everything out in the open. Like how you knew these were my paintings all along, Marshall. How you helped them steal my work because Mom promised you a cut of the profits. The whispers grew louder. Phones recorded everything. Violet stood near the entrance, broadcasting live. That's not. Veda's voice cracked. Mother said it would be okay. She said you owed us. Owed you. I turned from the easel. For what? Years of being pushed aside? Having my art supplies destroyed before competitions? Being told I wasn't good enough while you took credit for my work? I never meant. Vada looked around desperately. Mother, do something. But Regina was backing away, her carefully maintained facade crumbling as reporters pressed closer with questions about the financial records. Is it true you're deeply in debt? Did you bribe the gallery? Were you aware of the art theft? This is all a misunderstanding. Regina tried, but her voice had lost its authority. We're a family. A family, I laughed, the sound sharp and cold. Families don't steal from each other. They don't destroy each other's dreams for profit. The art critic stepped forward again. And Phoenix, the mysterious artist everyone's talking about? I nodded to Griffin, who projected images onto the gallery wall. Photos of me creating the Phoenix pieces, documentation of every step. Phoenix rose from the ashes of what they tried to destroy, I said, facing the cameras. Every piece was a statement about truth, about authenticity, about fighting back against those who try to silence artists. No, Regina whispered, watching her carefully constructed world collapse. You can't. Can't what? Succeed without your permission? Exist outside your control? I turned to the crowd. Every painting here has my signature hidden in it. UV light will reveal them, along with dates, timestamps, and coded messages I've included in each piece. Marshall slumped against the wall as collectors demanded refunds, his phone buzzing constantly. Vada had sunk into a chair, all pretense abandoned, as she sobbed quietly. The Phoenix mural outside, the critic said thoughtfully. It was a warning, wasn't it? And a declaration. It was truth in art form, I replied, adding the final stroke to my demonstrations piece. A small phoenix rising in the corner, my real signature bold beneath it. Violet pushed forward with her camera. And now that the truth is out, what's next for the real artist behind these works? I looked at my family, Regina's desperate anger, Vada's broken facade, Nathaniel's quiet pride. Then at my supporters, Griffin recording everything, Violet broadcasting truth, the critic nodding approvingly at my technique. Now, I picked up a fresh canvas. Now I create under my own name. No more shadows, no more theft, no more lies. Security, Marshall called weakly. Clear the gallery. No need, I said, gathering my supplies. The exhibition can proceed as planned, but with one small change. I walked to each painting, pulling out a UV light. One by one, my hidden signatures glowed, undeniable proof of their origin. The crowd gasped and photographed each revelation. Everything stays, I announced, but with proper attribution. After all, isn't art about truth? Regina's last desperate cry was drowned out by applause as I signed my latest piece with flourish. Not as Phoenix, not as the invisible daughter, but as myself. Finally, undeniably visible, the morning sun streamed through Griffin's studio windows as I packed the last of my paintings. My phone hadn't stopped buzzing since the exhibition. Galleries, collectors, journalists all wanting to talk about my work, both as myself and as Phoenix. Ready for this? Griffin asked, carefully wrapping my latest piece. Not really. I checked my phone. Another missed call from Regina. But I need to do it. The drive to my childhood home felt different now. The imposing facade no longer intimidated me. Nathaniel's truck was already parked outside. Inside, Regina sat at the dining room table, papers spread before her. Veda slumped in a corner chair, looking smaller without her designer clothes and carefully crafted confidence. You came, Regina said flatly. Your father insisted on this family meeting. We need to talk about consequences, Nathaniel said, his voice firm. Real ones. I set a folder on the table. 3 options. Read them. Regina's hand shook as she opened it. What is this? Option 1. You both publicly admit everything. The theft, the fraud, the manipulation. I'll decline to press charges, but you'll need to repay the collectors you deceived. Vada looked up, hope flickering. And the other options? Option 2, I let Violet publish everything she has, the financial records, the surveillance footage, the texts between you and Marshall planning the theft. You both face fraud charges. Regina's face hardened. You wouldn't dare. Option 3, I continued. I walk away. Cut all ties. But every piece of art I create will tell this story. Every exhibition will showcase how my own family tried to steal my voice. You're blackmailing us, Vada whispered. No, I'm giving you a chance to do the right thing. Finally, Nathaniel placed a hand on my shoulder. Listen to her, Regina. It's over. The question is how you want it to end. Regina stared at the papers, her carefully manicured nails tapping the table. The collectors are already demanding refunds. Marshall's reputation is ruined. What more do you want? The truth, I said simply. That's all I ever wanted. Vada stood suddenly. I'll do it. I'll confess. She turned to me, tears streaming. I was so scared of disappointing her, of not being perfect. It was easier to take your work than face my own failure. Vada, Regina snapped. Don't you dare. No, mother. Vada's voice strengthened. You pushed and pushed until we both became monsters. I won't do it anymore. My phone buzzed. Griffin, reminding me about the meeting with the new gallery. A real opportunity, earned with my own talent. Choose quickly, I said, standing. The press conference is in an hour. Either you'll be there to tell the truth, or I will. Regina's facade finally cracked. Everything I did was for this family. No, Nathaniel cut in. Everything you did was for your image of what this family should be. You never saw who we really were. I walked to the door, pausing. You know what the worst part was? I would have helped you, supported you both, if you'd just asked. Family works both ways. Wait, Vada called. I'm coming to the press conference. Mother can do what she wants, but I'm done lying. Regina watched her golden child walk away, her empire of lies crumbling. Outside, Griffin waited with his camera. How'd it go? About as expected. I looked back at the house. They'll either show up or they won't. Either way, I'm done hiding. Vada emerged, followed surprisingly by Regina, her shoulders slumped in defeat. I suppose, Regina said quietly. I owe you both an apology. Many apologies. Save it for the press conference, I replied. Actions matter more than words now. At the gallery, Violet waited with her camera crew. The art critic stood nearby, examining my latest piece, a family portrait unlike any other, showing masks falling away to reveal true faces beneath. Ready? Griffin asked as we took our places. I looked at my fractured family, Vada's trembling courage, Regina's broken pride, Nathaniel's quiet strength, then at my chosen family, Griffin's unwavering support, Violet's dedication to truth, the critic's appreciation for authentic art. Truth isn't always beautiful, I said to the assembled cameras, but it's always art. The lights flashed as Regina stepped forward to speak. Vada, beside her, I watched them confess, watched the truth, finally set us all free. My phone buzzed one last time, a message from Marshall. I'm sorry, you deserved better. I deleted it without responding. The past was painted over, and my canvas was finally gloriously blank. Phoenix has landed, Griffin whispered, squeezing my hand. I smiled, feeling the weight of invisibility fall away completely. No, Kendra is finally flying.